In the Wolverine series, Wolverine was previously battling a father and son who were possessed by a strange energy pistol. After going on a murderous rampage, Wolverine took out the father and apprehended the son with the help of Nick Fury. But Wolverine then saw a Watcher, a cosmic being whose arrival indicates a planetary threat. But Nick Fury is more concerned about the strange bullet embedded in Wolverine's shoulder. A woman named Victoria shows up to operate on Wolverine. They wind up at a strange superhero-themed pub that serves as a front for their operation. As Victoria operates on Wolverine, she has to keep necrotizing the skin as Wolverine's healing factor is holding up the operation. Meanwhile, Officer Tomomatsu introduces Nick Fury to all the members of this covert operation. Now, eventually, Victoria would remove the bullet from Wolverine. The bullet is a strange red hollow projectile made of an exotic metal alloy, nothing they've ever seen before. But Wolverine grabs his costume and asks the group who wants a beer. But elsewhere in Willett Point, Queens, the strange pistol has returned on autopilot to this group of thugs and so-called cops that seem to be under the influence of the pistol. They know the pistol can be tracked, but they state it doesn't matter because after tomorrow, nothing matters. But back at the pub, as the group observes the strange projectile, Fury asks Wolverine if he thinks he can trust them, but Wolverine knows he can because everybody under the possession of that gun smelled really sick. Now, eventually, an alarm would go off as they've tracked the pistol to Blinken Pharmaceuticals. Wolverine and Nick Fury hop in an aircraft and head that way. Fury covertly drops Wolverine on the roof so he can infiltrate the place, while Fury takes the back door. As Wolverine infiltrates the place, he's met by a peacekeeping force that informs him that he's trespassing and they're just saying the legal stuff before they use reasonable force to kill him. Wolverine tries to inform them that he's an Avenger, but they're not listening. So Wolverine leaps over, severing the cord, pumping the fluid that's giving the suit power. Wolverine takes cover behind the guy he just took down, assuming they won't shoot. But these guys immediately blast their buddy as Wolverine ducks the beams and incapacitates one of these guys, letting them know you don't get a second chance at life. But the other guy finally realizes this is Wolverine, so he finally stands down. But Wolverine is like, what the fuck? We couldn't have just done this with an ID card? Now the enforcer accompanies Wolverine as they encounter a cop that tells them to stand down. Now the dude in the golden suit puts up his hands and Wolverine is like, what the fuck? You don't believe me, but you believe this guy? Wolverine knocks this guy out as he can smell this whole group of people is possessed. But one of the cops fires the disintegrator pistol, missing Wolverine, but hitting the peacekeeper in the shoulder. Now these guys are attempting to steal a freight container, so Wolverine tries to stop them. But they all jump on Wolverine and start beating his ass. But luckily, Nick Fury drives his aircraft right into the freight, ejecting at the last moment. Nick Fury then goes to assist Wolverine and the other peacekeepers. But next thing they know, the 18-wheeler carrying the freight they worked so hard to stop gets swooped up by a stealth aircraft. Nick Fury tries to get coordinates for that aircraft, but Wolverine informs him with a bird that stealthy, they'll be lucky to do so. But elsewhere, at an industrial facility in Port Reading, the stealth aircraft drops off this freight, which happens to contain an industrial incubator. One of the men in lab coats makes a comment that this thing will help them breed fast enough to complete their mission as he cuts his wrist and seemingly lets his blood leak inside the incubator. 6 weeks ago at the Cadencia bar in New York City, Wolverine is talking to Victoria, his undercover medical specialist. She informs him he may have experienced a sudden burst of speed. In those moments, he went berserk. Now this happened because he basically ruptured the tendons in his knees and instantly healed. She informs him he could do that deliberately in a pinch. Present day, over the McGuire Air Force Base in New Jersey, Nick Fury drops Wolverine on top of stealth aircraft. Now this just happens to be the same aircraft that stole the incubator earlier. Wolverine rips his way inside and tells the pilot and the co-pilot to land this bird now. The pilots land, but upon being questioned, they don't remember anything about stealing the incubator. Furthermore, the cops that were working with the gangbangers earlier also remember nothing. Wolverine makes his way to Blinken Pharmaceuticals, the place they were robbing. He doesn't have an appointment, but he is an Avenger and he once saved the CEO's daughter. Wolverine has questions for the CEO, and reluctantly, he lets Wolverine in to give Wolverine answers. Wolverine contacts Fury as he learns they put a microscopic tracker on the container that only senior management knew about. In Old Bridge, New Jersey, several people are seemingly loading up something suspicious on a huge aircraft. Now, as these guys see Wolverine's aircraft coming, they pull out a missile launcher and proceed to lock on to Wolverine. They shoot Wolverine's aircraft, forcing him to prematurely bail out. But Wolverine remembers the conversation he had with his doctor earlier. Wolverine basically ruptures his tendons for a sudden burst of speed, and he manages to grab on to the aircraft. As Wolverine claws his way inside, someone tries to shoot him with that disintegrator that seems to be one of the sources of the mind control. Wolverine grapples with the guy, trying not to kill him, but the disintegrator pistol flies away while throwing the civilians out, forcing Wolverine's hand. Wolverine locates the incubator, and he's running out of time as this aircraft is starting to fly over Yankee Stadium as there's a big game today. To make matters worse, he's being intercepted by the US Air Force, and the problem with that is, if they shoot this plane down, whatever is in that incubator is going to spread all over the city. As the two aircraft fire missiles, Wolverine claws his way onto the rooftop. He then uses his claws to rupture one of the wings, making it change course. Now the missiles completely miss him, but unfortunately the plane goes down and falls in the ocean. Wolverine claws his way to shore, where he's greeted by Nick Fury and several S.H.I.E.L.D. agents. Fury tells Wolverine that upon injecting a rat with a strain of blood from one of the kids that was mind controlled, they were able to determine that Latverian nanites took control of the mouse. But as Wolverine is talking to Nick Fury, he once again sees a Watcher, a cosmic being that is a sign of planetary danger. Wolverine still doesn't completely know what's going on, but the Watcher disappears as Fury asks Wolverine to accompany him to headquarters. Wolverine agrees to go with Fury, but from the moment Logan agreed to go with Nick Fury, the future changed, and now we have to live with the results. To be continued.